Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. And my name is Qing, and I've been at this meetup for like quite a number of years, and yeah, glad to be here. So today I'm going to talk about my experience of building a Elixir Phoenix application for Slack integration. Yeah. So just a little bit of background before we dive into it. I joined a new company called Telnix a couple months ago, and I'm working on our new video product. It is not a competitor to Zoom. The idea is to provide a SDK and backend API so that our clients could build their own Zoom if they want to. In order to demonstrate the capabilities of our video product, we also build a Zoom-like thing called a video meet. So that we can showcase what you can do with our video product. It is based on React and Next.js on the front end. It is open source to serve as a reference. Well, almost everything is open source, just the part for handling deployment to our own infrastructure is not. As part of my onboarding, I needed to build a onboarding project based on our video product so that I kind of get a feeling of what our video product can do before actually start working on it. One of the options is to build a Slack integration for video meet. I was like, that sounds interesting. I'll take it. So Slack API. Since I needed to build a Slack integration, naturally I looked into Slack API. It is safe to say it's quite powerful, and it allows you to create a wide range of Slack applications. For example, to send alerts from your production application, to start a survey about the most important question of the day, to send shout out to your team member, to get a reminder for your next meeting. If you know nothing about Slack API though, in my opinion, it's quite hard to get started, especially if you are using a niche language like Elixir. They feature their SDK called Bolt, but it only supports JavaScript, Python, and Java. I would imagine that if you do use those languages, it would help a lot. But if you don't, it actually makes it harder to dig up information you actually need. Anyway, let's look at how to create a new Slack application. You can do that on api.slack.com/apps. Just click the green Create App button, and you'll get a pop-up like this. Choose from scratch. Then you need to provide the app name and select a workspace, and that's pretty much it. Once I've got a Slack app, I was trying to build a slash command that starts a meeting in video meet. A slash command is just when you type forward slash followed by something in Slack, in the Slack message box. And here, ABCD is kind of the command. Of course, it needs to be provided by a Slack app that's installed in your workspace. An interesting example is giphy. This is a picture when you get when you type //giphy hello. Here, giphy is the command and hello is a parameter. What the giphy Slack app does is to grab a random GIF related to the text, which is hello in this case, and send this message that's only visible to you. If you are happy with the image, clicking send will actually send it to the channel, and clicking shuffle will get you a different random GIF. Or, of course, if you change your mind, you can click cancel to not send anything. Another example would be Zoom. So when you type /Zoom, it will start a meeting in Zoom and show you the meeting ID, a join button, and passcode, etc. By the way, if you do use the join button, you actually don't need the passcode because it's included in the join URL. This is actually pretty much what I wanted to build for Video Meet. Obviously, we wanted to start the meeting in Video Meet rather than Zoom. So you can create a new slash command in the app management on Slack, and you need to fill out lots of information. In my opinion, the most important two are the command name and the request URL. The command name is what the user should type after the slash. And the request URL is the URL for your app backend. So when the user do type the command, Slack will send a post request to the request URL. It needs to be publicly accessible and need to be able to handle the requests from Slack. One thing to note is that your app needs to respond within 3 seconds. Otherwise, the command will time out. So here is a sample request from Slack for a slash command. As you can see, there are a whole bunch of fields. The most important ones, at least for my purpose, are command, text, user ID, and username. We have the option of using a different request URL for handling different commands, but we can also handle multiple commands with the same URL, in which case the command field would be very handy because we can match on the command field to know which command are we receiving right now. Text is what the user type after the slash command, and it serves as the argument to the command. User ID and the username are just the Slack user ID and username of the user who triggered this command. So the goal is to create a slash command /meet that handles requests from Slack and creates UI like this. Obviously, this is based on the Zoom example earlier. We wanted to update the app name to Video Meet and change the logo here and here. Also, we don't need to show the meeting ID and also the information about the passcode, but we do want to keep the join button, the title and the status, and also a list of participants. My first instinct is to send this as a message, and I just need to compose the message to have all the elements in this mockup and somehow make it look like what we want. For composing messages, Slack has what they call block kit. I'm not exactly an expert on this, but it feels very similar to creating web UI with HTML, except this is using JSON in the requests or responses to Slack. You can use compose a message, one or more blocks. Sorry, you can compose a message with one or more blocks. Each block can have multiple block elements or composition objects. So what are block elements? Well, they can be a button, a menu, or for example. And the most common composition objects is a piece of text. Essentially, a message in Slack is a series of nested JSON objects. By using BlockKit, I was able to get the title and the join button. Something looks like this, but it's still quite far away from what we want. specifically, I did not figure out a clean way to implement the status line and the participant list because they need to be updated over time. Even if it is possible with Blockit to implement them, it's going to be super tedious. Also, Blockit doesn't seem to support the nice looking border and the background color. So by the look of it, unfortunately, this seems to be a dead end for our purpose. How do I do this then? I thought it must be possible because Zoom have done it. I must have missed something. Then I stumbled upon the Slack calls API. As it turns out, calls API was what I missed. This is a screenshot in the overview of Slack calls API documentation. Look how similar it is to the Zoom call. I bet this is how Zoom did it too. And I believe this is the way for my purpose too. Once we know the what, it's just a matter of time to figure out the how. In this case, I wanted to start an async task and send an empty response immediately to make sure the slash command doesn't time out. So in the async task, we needed to do a couple of things. First, to create a room in video API. This is where people are actually going to have their meeting. And then we wanted to start a call in Slack. It's worth noting that the Slack call here is purely for UI purpose. It shows a message for the call in Slack so that people know that there is a call going on. And the join button directs people to where the meeting is actually being held. In this case, a room in Video Meet. Lastly, we want to store the room and the call related information in the Gen server so that we can update the call when somebody joins or leaves. I've also saved them in the database too, so that in the case of a crash or redeployment, we can load the Gen server state from the database, and we don't lose any information. We don't lose any information about the ongoing calls. After doing all that, when I type /meet, I'll get this, which is great. But we are not quite done yet. When people join or leave in video room, the participant list in the Slack call isn't going to be updated automatically. So we needed to handle that. Basically, use the participants in video room as source of truth and update the Slack call accordingly. So in iteration 1, I came up with running a periodical task in the Gen server. In the task, first get participants in video room, which is the source of truth, and then get participants in the Slack call, and then naturally compare and update the Slack call. This approach sounds simple, but unfortunately, sorry. What happened? Okay, I'll just continue. Unfortunately, this approach didn't quite work. The problem is that the Slack API for getting participants always return all the participants, including the ones who have left. So I can't get an accurate list of remaining participants, and therefore subsequent calls to remove participants would fail. The key is that I can't rely on Slack API to know who is still in the Slack call. So given that, how about I do it myself? So here comes iteration 2 with a improved periodical task. I first get the participants in video room as usual, as before. And then the change is that I keep track of the participants in Gen server state for the call. And then I will compare what I get from video API and what I have in the Gen server state, and then update both the Gen server and update the Slack call. So this approach, so now this approach works fine, but it's still not ideal. Essentially, we don't know when people join or leave, so we have to rely on blindly polling the system every so often. So we don't want to do it too often, because the task for querying all video rooms and to update all Slack calls takes some time. Yeah. Also, if we consider the nature of the problem, when a group of people are in a meeting, the participant list isn't going to update every second, for example. So we will be creating unnecessary pressure on our video API. On the other hand, we also don't want to do it too infrequently, because that means the participant list would stay out of sync for a long time. Sorry. Luckily for me, I mean, my team added a webhook support in video API, which is super handy for my Slack app. It means we can be notified when someone joins or leaves. So in the next iteration, I added support for webhooks in the Slack app. First, I needed to handle participant join event. So basically, when we receive a participant join event, just add the participant to Gen server state and also to the Slack call. And the same for participant left event. When we receive one, we just remove the participant from Gen server state and also the Slack call. And now we can get an up-to-date list of participants in the Slack call, which is great. So then, what if everybody has left the call? Well, we wanted to do some cleanup. Specifically, we wanted to delete the room in video API, and we wanted to end the call in Slack. Also, we wanted to remove the call and the room information that has ended in our Gen server state. The next, so that's what, and then the next question is, when should we do it? Naturally, when everyone has left the call, we wanted to finish the call. Assuming someone have joined, that means the meeting has been active, or in another case is that it's been idle for a whole day, no one joins the call. It means it's most likely been forgotten, so we should clean it up as well. If people need to have a meeting, they can always start a new one with /meet, so there shouldn't be any consequence there. Yeah, that's all good, and we are almost done. Just need a little bit more. Now, let's step back a little and think about the whole flow of our / command. So user type /meet in Slack, and then Slack will send us a request. But from our app's perspective, how do we know if a request is actually coming from Slack rather than some random hacker, for example? Up to this point, we don't really know that. So we need some way to verify the authenticity of a Slack request. Fortunately, Slack does allow us to verify requests from Slack with a request signature. For each Slack app, Slack generates a unique string as signing secret, and it is shared with the app developers. Slack will sign the body of each request to your app using this secret. The resulting signature is sent in a header called a X Slack signature. Since the current timestamp is also involved in calculating the signature, is sent in another header called a Slack request timestamp. The last thing we need is the raw request body. Since I'm using Phoenix, getting the request body is actually not as easy as it sounds. With Phoenix, when a request reaches our controller, the body has already been turned into an Elixir map, which is super helpful for most situations, but not having access to the raw request body is not helpful at all when we needed to calculate a signature from the request body. In order to gain access to the raw request body, we needed to create a custom parser, which looks like this. Essentially, we grab the body with this plug function, and then we put it in a new assign called a raw body. And then we needed to put this piece of code in the endpoint module to let Phoenix know that we would like to use this parser called a cache body reader for URL encoded and the JSON content types. Once we do that, the request body will be available in the raw body assign. And now we have everything we need to compute the signature. So let's look at how do we actually do that. Well, first, concatenate the literal string v0 with the timestamp and raw request body separated by semicolons. And I'm calling it a base string here. Then we create a HMAC SHA-256 hash with the signing secret using Erlang's built-in crypto module. Then base 16 encoded. Lastly, we prepend it with a literal string v0 equals, and we have calculated our version of the Slack request signature. Now just need to compare it with the Slack signature we received from the header. Note here, we want to use the secure compare function from the plug module rather than double equals in this case, because the latter is potentially subject to timing attack, which just means it allows a potential hacker to know how long it takes to finish the comparison, and then based on that information, it will know how many characters are the same, and then they can potentially do some damage. Yeah, I had a lot of fun building this. Figuring things out and writing Elixir to solve problems makes me happy. And also, I would like to talk a little bit about dealing with unknowns. Unless you only work with things you already know very well, inevitably you'll have to learn new things from time to time. From my own experience and observations, when you learn something new, it's rarely a straight line. You take detours and you run into dead ends, but that's okay, and that's natural. There's no need to be upset about getting stuck on something. Just tell yourself, this way didn't quite work. What else could I try? If you keep trying, most likely you'll be able to solve the problem, and that would be super satisfying. Of course, there are situations where you can't succeed, and I would argue, even in those situations, the experience of trying your best at an impossible task is super valuable for the next time when you are faced with something really, really difficult. Yeah, thank you. That's all I have for today. Here are some references, and I can share the links as well in the chat. Any questions?
Yeah, Qing, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Are there libraries in Elixir already that abstract any of the Slack API?
A good question. The answer is yes, but the reason I didn't use any of them is because they are kind of outdated. Most of them have been there for, and I mean, not been updated for at least 2 or 3 years. And apparently, at least some of them are using deprecated ways of interacting with Slack, which when I'm building something new, I don't want to use. Yeah.
Yeah. It appears that the Slack API, there's lots of stuff deprecated because I was looking into just webhooks sending messages to Slack from Elixir, so the opposite sort of flow. And yeah, there's lots of stuff that seems to be a bit of a dead end. So yeah, it's not surprising, given how easy it is to sort of hook it all up yourself. It's yeah, it's not surprising. My other question actually is a comment. Since joining Alembic, so like just over a year, 2 of the 3 big Phoenix applications, we've needed the raw body. So it's not that block of code you showed is not uncommon. It's I think they should put it into Phoenix main, because yeah, 2 out of 3 we needed it. Yeah, this one here.
Yeah, I think this one was actually from, if I'm remembering correctly, from the plug documentation somewhere. Yeah, it's just like this.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more and more common for people to need the raw body for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Qing?
Oh, by the way, I think I can do a quick demo if we want to see it in action.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, let me stop sharing this screen. I think in this case, I'll need to share the whole screen, right? Hello, Alcus? You there?
Yes, I'm here, Qing. Hi.
Cool. I need a little bit of help from you for the demo, because other people don't have our access to our Slack, so they can't actually see what's going on. So I might be cheating. So with you there, you can show we're actually getting something that's working. Cool. So this is our Slack channel for specifically for testing my Slack app. I've done something before, but here I'm going to start a new one. So I just typed the /meet, and then it will start a new meeting. What I do is I will click on the join button, and it will open our Slack meet in my browser, and then I will click join. Okay. Oh, Ocus is already in there. Thanks, Ocus. You're quick. Yeah, as you can see, we can turn on our videos, audio as well. I don't want to create any feedback, so I just turn it off. Yeah, turn off, and also I could share my screen there, but I'm not going to do it. And if I go back to here, as you can see, there's Ocus and myself in the meeting. So yeah, if I say, for example, August, please stay, and if I leave the meeting, if I come back, there's only August in the meeting. August, can you leave the meeting as well, please? Oh, okay. Now the meeting has ended, and then yeah, the room got deleted, and the Slack call is has been ended as well. Yeah, cool. That's the quick demo for the Slack app.